Unmapped is supported by Castbox, the fastest growing, highest rated podcast app on iOS and Android. Castbox has over 50 million free episodes that more than 10 million users download and listen to wherever, whenever. And now, for all Unmapped listeners, once you've downloaded the Castbox app, click Go Premium and enter promo code 90days to get 3 free months of premium features. Head on over to the App Store or Google Play Store to download Castbox now. Hey pals, you're listening to Unmapped. I'm your host, Angelina Zeppieri. I'm here with my producer, Adam.
Hi.
And today, I want to ask you about surprises. Adam, how do you feel about surprises?
How do I feel about surprises? I feel pretty good about surprises. It depends on what kind of surprise it is, though. For my 25th birthday, I had a surprise party where all my friends got together at a bar, and I didn't really expect any of them to be there. So that was a great surprise.
That's awesome.
But sometimes when I come home from work, I open my door, and my cat has pooped on my floor.
No, not cool, Milky Way.
Not cool at all. So that's not a great surprise. How do you feel about surprises?
I also really like surprises, not cat poop surprises, but I wish someone would throw me a surprise birthday party. I don't think I've ever had anyone do that for me.
Hint to friends and family members.
Someone throw me a surprise party. I also really like being surprised when you get gifts. I don't want to know what you got me. Don't tell me. I like to open it and be surprised.
Yeah, I've never really understood how some people really just try to figure out what their gifts are.
Right.
Like, why ruin it for yourself?
Exactly. It takes away the whole purpose of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I generally really like surprises. So I want to introduce you to someone who surprises people for a living.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Lillian Rafson, and I am the founder and CEO of Pack Up and Go.
What's Pack Up and Go?
Well, I Skyped with Lillian to find out.
So we are a really small travel agency based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we plan trips all around the United States. But the catch is that you don't know where you're going until the day you depart.
Oh, that's a really cool idea.
Right?
I know I hate planning things, so I would love to be surprised with a trip. But I know you really love to plan things, so do you think this would even be for you?
I do. I really like to plan trips. That's like one of my favorite parts of actually going on a trip is figuring out where I'm going and what I'm going to do when I'm there. But this I love because I would love the thrill of not knowing my final destination. That like just adventurous aspect seems really cool. So there's a couple of different companies that actually do this kind of thing.
Okay.
So Lufthansa.
They're an airline, right?
Yeah. So they're an airline based in Germany. They have this thing called Lufthansa Surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And basically you can choose a travel topic and your dates, and they'll book a destination for you.
Oh, cool.
And you won't know where you're going.
Yeah.
And then Brown and Hudson, they're this luxury international travel company, and they offer a surprise option called Journey with No Destination, where the agents tailor a surprise trip for you.
Oh, cool.
But today, we're going to focus on Pack Up and Go and learn a little about how they surprise people.
The way our trips work, our travelers tell us their travel dates, their budget, and then they fill out a quick survey. So we ask where you've gone recently, if you have any trips coming up, and then we ask for your interests. So that chance to tell us, I love art museums and history and craft breweries and the outdoors. And you can tell us anything else we need to know at that point. So we then take that information and we look at your survey, and it's almost like a dating survey where we try to, extract your personality from this quiz. And we select the destination that we think you will love based on those answers. We then book your travel and accommodation and provide curated itineraries for your destination, since you don't know where you're going and therefore do not have time to do research yourself.
So Pack Up and Go knows where the traveler is headed now. Mm-hmm. Before the departure date, the travelers receive an email that tells them what to pack, such as hiking boots or a bathing suit.
Okay, so big range.
Right. So you get a general idea of what type of things you should be putting in your suitcase.
Okay.
weather info on your mystery destination, and where to go, like JFK or Grand Central.
To where I'm leaving from.
Exactly. A few days before the trip, they receive an envelope in the mail, which they do not open yet. Let me show you these clips on their website of people opening them.
We're at the airport. We're getting ready to find out where we're going.
You ready? I'm ready.
Are you sure?
I'm so ready.
Are you sure you're ready?
Should we open
Yeah,
it?
open it.
Okay, let's open it together.
Now, they're finally ready to open the envelope.
All right, here we go.
Open the envelope.
The first sheet they remove says,
No peeking.
Oh, geez, what a tease.
All right, well.
Up. Are you ready?
Oh,
One, two, three.
Oh my god!
Oh my, what?
We're going to Phoenix!
We're going to Savannah.
I thought we were going to Austin this whole time. How cool!
We're going to Denver,
Going to
Colorado.
Denver. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes, so
Nice.
excited.
That is so cool.
That sounds like so much fun. Where did this idea come from?
I was curious about that too. So I asked Lillian about it.
In the summer of 2015, I had been working for a startup in New York. You know, the work atmosphere was so fun and I loved my coworkers and it was a great work environment, but I wasn't feeling particularly inspired by the work. I think it's a feeling that a lot of people experience. And I had been living in New York for a while. I went to school there and was working. I just felt like I needed some sort of change, but I wasn't sure what. I had studied abroad for a full year in college. I was in Paris. I just remember at the end of the year, there were still so many places that I wanted to visit, particularly in Eastern Europe. And, you know, I just thought, all right, why not? You know, if not now, when?
So Lillian quits her job and decides to travel.
I found myself backpacking up the Baltic coast of Europe, and I was in Riga, Latvia, in a hostel when I met two Dutch women who were on a surprise vacation through a Dutch surprise travel agency. And I had never heard of the concept before.
This is the light bulb moment.
I couldn't believe that this didn't exist in the States yet. And that was kind of coupled with the fact that, you know, I realized I'd made it to Riga, Latvia, which is kind of an obscure destination, but I had never been to Charleston, South Carolina, or that, you know, there were so many places in the US that I hadn't thought of as destinations. And it just made me rethink the way I travel and why I travel and where I travel. So kind of in that moment, I decided, all right, I'm going to give this a shot in the States and see how it goes. I then had about 6 weeks left in my trip before I had to come home. So in those 6 weeks, I was traveling around with my target demographic. So it was perfect.
She wasted no time and basically started this company before she even came home. She was asking her fellow travelers the questions she would eventually put on the survey, Skyping with her mentors for advice,
and Googling how to become a travel agent in the state of Pennsylvania. Like I was really starting from scratch.
She moved back to Pittsburgh to start the company and luckily had the support of her parents because they're both small business owners themselves.
Suddenly it was, you know, this weird feeling where I was living with my parents, learning how to start a company and just having no idea whether it would work or not, and just feeling really unsure about it.
Ballsy.
Totally. So she gets home in September of 2015, and by January 1st, 2016, she had registered an LLC and officially launched the company.
But really what that meant was that I sent an email to my family and friends and you know, posted on Facebook, "Hey guys, I started a company."
But what really got the ball rolling was this pitch competition that she entered called Invest in Her, which is for female entrepreneurs and women-run enterprises who present their business ideas for the chance to win a small grant of $3,000 to invest in their company.
How'd she do?
So I signed up for the pitch competition, and it was the first time I pitched it.
So she gets up on stage in front of this panel and a room full of strangers to present her pitch. And it goes really well. She waits through all the other pitches, and then it's time for the judges to make their decision. Drum roll.
And I won first place. And that was kind of an amazing moment for me because, you know, until then, everyone I talked to about it was a friend or family or someone who had some sort of, you know, personal investment in my well-being. So the fact that a room full of strangers was a good idea was pretty cool.
That's really impressive.
It was. Winning the competition helps Lillian to start practicing how this would work. She got a few volunteers for trips from a friend of hers and a local brewery owner, and she planned their experiences. She did research on the cities she wanted to send them to, asked them about things they liked to do, booked the flights, hotels, activities, everything, and sent them on their way. And they loved it.
In January, you know, I had those 2 practice trips under my belt, but I had never really done this before. And then on February 8th, I will never forget, my freshman year roommate from college shared the Facebook page on her profile just to be a good friend. And one of her friends, it turns out, was a writer for Business Insider.
This is major. Business Insider is a huge publisher with millions of readers and social media followers.
And she reached out to me, said, "Hey, I saw this on Facebook. I'd love to write a story about you." And sure enough, she wrote a story about me. And I had planned 2 trips for people I knew at that point. And suddenly, on February 8th, I got my first 15 orders.
15?
Mm-hmm.
She'd only done 2.
Yeah, and they were from all over the country. That's a 750% increase, which is amazing. But now she's looking at having to deliver on 15 customized trips, and she's just one person.
And I was just panicked. I didn't eat for about 3 weeks. I didn't sleep. I was like physically ill because I was so terrified because I had no idea what I was doing. And and suddenly these people had given me their money and expected a trip, and I had to do it, and I had no idea how. So that was a crazy, crazy couple of weeks. And, you know, within 24 hours, I had a call from Shark Tank. I had a call from NBC Nightly News. I had a call from the Travel Channel. And nobody realized that it was just me in a co-working space trying to figure out how to do this.
So she had no choice but to figure this out really quickly.
And I did. And it was terrifying, but it worked. And people were liking their trips. And I was getting a lot of really good feedback and, you know, learning the ropes as I went. And it worked.
Lillian called in a lot of favors and was tapping into anyone she knew for travel recommendations, which helped her take Pack Up and Go to the next level. After the break, we'll find out where Lillian is at today. For you, the listeners of Unmapped, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service.
If I was going to go listen to a book, what should I listen to?
One of my favorite travel books is Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert.
Why should I listen to it?
It will definitely make you want to travel and experience other countries, but it also might make you want to just pick up and live there. It's honestly, it's a really good like self-discovery book. She goes away for a year and she goes to these 3 different countries, and in each country she like learns new things and finds new things out about herself, but it's told in a really personal, really funny way. So you really relate to her, to the writer.
And with this audiobook, it's the original author that's reading it too.
Right. So it's like she's telling you her story.
That's great.
To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/unmapped. Again, that's audibletrial.com/unmapped for your free audiobook. That was February 2016 when Lillian got those first 15 orders for Pack Up and Go.
So it's been about 2 years.
It's almost a second birthday, which is really exciting.
Within those years, a bunch more trips have rolled in, and Pack Up and Go is doing pretty well. It's not just her in that co-working space anymore.
Yeah, so we're still a really small team. Right now, we are 3 people full-time, so really tiny still. I brought on the first employee about 6 months in. So I think it was in June.
She hires a business development director to handle all kinds of things, from reaching out to hotels, managing partnerships, and taking care of social media.
And then, only recently, earlier this year, we hired our travel manager, who is our primary point of contact for our travelers. And we do have several freelancers who help us, some part-time help, and some amazing interns as well.
So she's got all this extra help. Is she still planning the trips every day?
Yes. So I still am. So when we hired our travel manager, the goal was that I would be able to take a step back and do some more higher level operations. We've just been really busy, so it's still kind of an all hands on deck operation right now. But it's fun. I love planning trips. I think that's still really exciting.
Lillian shared some stories with me to kind of illustrate why she loves booking her customers' trips so much.
There was a couple that we sent to Miami, and they got back from their trip. And, after everyone's trips, we send out a survey to see how you liked it, what can we do better, ask if you want to share any photos. And this couple responded, and in the photos, there was a picture of him proposing to her.
Oh my God.
And I had no idea that was happening. And it really took me aback that, oh my gosh, this trip played a major role in this couple's lives. That was kind of amazing to me that, when they tell their kids about how they got engaged, this little company that I just started will suddenly be a part of that story. That was amazing. And since then we had, I want to say 4 or 5 engagements, which is really, really cool to me. We've had couples celebrate their 50th anniversaries. We have had a group of best friends celebrating, one of their friends' cancer survivals. We have had some pretty amazing stories from our travelers, and I feel pretty honored to be a part of those celebrations.
So she's really personally attached to booking these trips for people. But as the company grows, she physically can't plan every single one.
Right. Yeah.
How many trips do you think they've planned at this point?
It's been like 2 years, so maybe like 700 or 800 trips.
Yeah, we're at nearly 3,000.
Damn, that is a lot of trips.
A lot. It's also a lot to plan. And she loves what she's doing, don't get me wrong.
Obviously.
But it's now become just too many trips for her to do on her own.
It's hard. I remember when we first hired our travel manager, and the first weekend of trips where I wasn't on call, I had such bad anxiety, and I was checking my email every 2 minutes, and it took so much effort to not call her every minute and ask how everything was going. And I trusted her completely, but it's just, I had been so used to being in, just knowing everything. And, when you're the point of contact for the trips, and when you're planning the trips, you get, the hard feedback, but you also get all the amazing customer emails, and, you're the first one to see all the photos of people on their trip. And it's really rewarding. And you just feel such a personal connection to the trip. So it is kind of hard for me to give that up, because I feel I'm very emotionally connected to that.
So even after 3,000 trips and being approached by Shark Tank and NBC Nightly News and all this amazing feedback, Lillian still has to pinch herself.
Oh, I still don't always believe that I'm doing it. That hasn't always set in. I mean, it's crazy. It's really, I think it's crazy every day that I get to do this. The fact that we've had repeat customers is the most amazing thing to me. And, when it used, for a really long time, I could tell you every traveler's name and where they went. And if you said, oh, John Smith, I could say, oh yeah, he traveled with Jane Doe and they went to Charleston. I could tell you all these details. And when we hit the point where I couldn't remember all of those, that was a weird moment to me, that we'd kind of outgrown my memory almost. But every day, I can't believe it. And I'm always, I'm at this point, I'm really optimistic about it, and the orders haven't stopped, and we still are planning trips for people. But every day I'm convinced that, something could happen, and it could, it could end tomorrow because it started so quickly too that, I'm always cautious of that. And I have to remember, it would be really hard and really devastating if that were to happen suddenly. But I'm really young. I'm 25. And so I started this when I was 23. And so I have to remember that, the stakes are pretty low. And I've learned so much from this. And so I just try to remind myself that, if something happens, then I've planned almost 3,000 amazing trips for our awesome customers. And how cool is that?
That is so cool.
They're clearly onto something.
Definitely. And I had to ask Lillian why she thought people keep signing up for these surprise trips.
We found that, a lot of our travelers sign up because they want that thrill. They want the surprise. They want the anticipation. Other times we find that our travelers are just really busy and just need a break. And it's funny because for me, traveling has always been really, really therapeutic. And I've always found it really fun and relaxing doing the research. And that's not how everyone feels. I think are missing the concept of a traditional travel agent who takes that stress away from them. So it's not even always about the surprise. Sometimes it's just about the stress of planning, which I hadn't really anticipated. Again, it goes back to the question of why we travel versus how we travel or where we travel.
Special thanks to Lillian Rafson and the Pack Up and Go team. We loved hearing your story. If any of our listeners have been on a Pack Up and Go trip, tweet at us at Uncover Studios and let us know where your surprise destination was. Thank you for listening to Unmapped. You can subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you heard, leave us a review. I've been your host, Angelina Zeppieri. You can check out my travel blog at whereisnext.com and follow me on Instagram at wherenextangelina. Unmapped is a proud member of Uncover Studios. You can follow Uncover on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Uncover Studios. If you'd like to sponsor Unmapped, email sponsor@uncoverstudios.com. Our executive producer is Dave Kiney. Adam Raymunda produced and scored this episode. Did I say your last name?
Yeah, you said it weird.
Did, sorry. Adam Raymunda produced and scored this episode. Our staff also includes Caroline Valentino, James DiFrancesco, Laura Scott, Alvaro Nadal, Heather Kugel, and Sean Decker. Catch you later.